Hey, what's going on, Achievement Whores? You're listening to the Collective Gamescast, episode 5, Remastered in HD. I'm your graphically updated host, the Malgadar. With me, as always, is the complete collection, Chris.
Hello, everybody.
As always, you can join the festivities with us in the Google Hangout on Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern, or sometime thereafter when we finally start the show. And if you'd want to be one of the guests on the show, you can be. Email us at collectivegamescast@gmail.com, and you can join us on the show one week. All right. So, Chris, I've got problems.
All right.
So, I said I was going to take a break from Metal Gear Solid 5. I couldn't do it. If this was a 12-step program, I'd be crawling to avoid detection right now.
It's no good, man.
I cannot get away from this game. And you just keep doing the same things over and over again, but I can't stop. It's just, there's something about it. It's just, I wish I could explain it. It seems to be ineffable, though.
I wonder if it's, once the story really starts rolling, you're just like, oh, I gotta see the next part. I gotta see the next part. Kind of like if you're watching a TV show on Netflix and you just keep going. Oh, one more. That won't hurt. Whatever.
You know what? It is kind of like that, actually. You know, like as you're watching a series and you get towards the end of the season and it starts to like pick up.
Yep.
Well, that's basically what happens in Metal Gear. You get towards the end of the missions, like as the story is reaching its conclusion, and they basically pull you forward. You can't get away from it. The way the missions are structured, you constantly want to go on to the next story mission, not do side ops, not sit around in the ACC. You literally feel the need to continue, and because you haven't gotten there yet, I don't want to spoil it, but they very much so set it up almost like a boulder rolling downhill. So it's like when you got to steamroll through the last 5 or 6 episodes of a show at the end of a season on Netflix.
Oh, man. I don't even want to get to it because I feel like it's just going to be like 8 hours of my life gone. Quality well, 8 hours.
Let me think. When you get to around mission 25, just leave it till the weekend. Don't do. That seems to be the point at which the boulder gets out of control.
Oh,
so
man.
When you get to mission 25, tell yourself, you know what? I'm not starting that till I have some time to commit.
Cool.
Now, here was my endeavor today. So I fight the final boss, who shall remain nameless.
All right.
And I S rank the mission.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, go me. And then it does the tally of all the stuff, you know, the GMP, the heroism.
Yep.
And I lost money on the mission. I can't even begin to explain how funny this was to me, because I was thinking to myself, I just S ranked that mission and I lost money because there's a thing in the final battle where there's a mandatory support chopper. And if it gets blown up, Miller just sends another one. And if it gets blown up, he just sends another one.
Okay. I can see where the money just goes.
Yeah. So it all just fell down a giant exploding helicopter sinkhole. Yeah. Well, then the credits roll, you know, and enjoying this, you know, it's cool. It's like, yeah, it's, you know, my couple minutes to reflect on the game, the fun I had with it.
Yep.
And then it takes a really weird turn because there's one key thing I forgot from the very beginning of the game is that
Flaming Whale.
Right after the Flaming Whale, actually, it says Chapter 1. And after the credits roll and all that, it gives you like a preview coming in Chapter 2. And then at first I'm thinking, oh, so this is like the sequel they probably wanted to do to it. No, it's what happens now. Now I'm in Chapter 2.
That's weird.
and the game takes a really weird twist that I did not anticipate.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away. I want you to see it for yourself when you get there. But I was like, whoa, this is a bit wild. Like,
I feel like I'm going to spend my Saturday doing this.
yeah.
Got a
Oh,
lot.
I thought you were living off the land this weekend.
Nah, I'm not feeling too good. Feeling a little under the weather, and with it being like 60 degrees as a high, just not
You
gonna
got
do that.
Metal Gear Fluenza, huh?
Yeah.
That's all right.
I was really excited too. Yesterday I was like, yeah, all right, camping, it's good. Last time of the year. It should be decent weather. And then this morning I woke up with like this headache. My sinuses have been acting weird. I was like, maybe it's time to like get into the video game season now. It's just no going outside.
Yeah. Well, the weather, she is not going to stay nice for long. That's for certain on the East Coast here.
It's a good thing. Now I have more time. I don't feel like I need to go outside. I can just sit back.
It is convenient that most of the big games come out as the weather is turning to crap around here.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is very brilliant. It's like Blizzard. They release their games like right before, like in March, which is usually right around spring break time for colleges. So you pretty much get the game and you've got that week of nothing. Just enjoy it.
You know what? I never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because I'm thinking of the last two Diablo releases were both in, well, one was right after Labor Day and the other one was mid-August.
Yeah.
So they hit that pre back to school.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah. The first day of school, the last thing I want on my mind is coming home to Diablo.
Yep.
Yeah. Luckily, them days are far behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I've been up to anyway. Metal Gear sucked me right back in, and I haven't really gotten anything else yet.
Well, that's good stuff, though. At least you finished chapter 1.
Yeah. And I was happy and I was mad at myself for not realizing sooner that in the sniper rifles that there is a automatic sniper rifle that fires tranquilizer rounds. And it was there the whole time, and I just never developed it because I never noticed it there.
Oh, man.
So I finally got it, and it is really awesome.
I need to get that. It's the worst when you're like lined up with a guy, and you shoot, you miss, and then you have to get out of the scope, go back into the scope, and then do it again. It's like,
yeah, no more bold action for me. I'm done with that. Okay, so what have you been up to?
Well, today I played a little bit of Diablo, like actually a little. This wasn't like I played through the first 2 acts. No, this was just a little bit.
Okay,
that was just about it. And then I played a little Madden, did my draft, and that was pretty much it. A lot of it was running around, so I didn't get too much time as I wanted. But
well, it's just the start of the weekend, so you know.
Yeah, that's it. I get 2 more days to do whatever I want, and I'm not going camping, so now I'm just going to be sitting in here. It's going to be great.
There you go.
It's going to be great.
Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, our guest situation didn't work out the way we wanted tonight. We had a late cancellation with our guest, so it's just me and you again, hanging out.
Oh, that's perfectly fine with me.
So we got, well, you know, we really don't have a core 4 to do because our guests didn't show up, but me and you discussed last week when we did our Meet the Hosts topic that we should do our core 4s.
Mm-hmm.
And we never did it. We got sidetracked and never got back to it. So maybe right in here, why don't you give us a little sampling of your core 4, Chris?
All right. Core 4. Let's see. I would say I'm thinking of games that I always go back to, right? One of them is Skyrim. I just love it.
Okay.
And playing it on PC, I can, change the graphics a little bit, add a little mods. It's like a different gameplay each time, and it's really nice.
Nudie
And
mod.
some of
No,
the things that they do are a little ridiculous, but you know,
no.
some of them are actually just included into the mod, and you don't even know it until it's too late.
What do they call the one that lets you expand your hot key items? I forget what it is. You know, you got the like a quick menu you can pull up.
Oh, the is it Sky UI?
Yes, yes, it is.
That's the one.
Yeah, I love that because my, playing on the Xbox, you have a very limited set of things you can use.
Yep.
Then when I played on PC, I just made it my whole screen was just filled with things that I could pick from. It was great.
It's so great to have that on there. It's one of the mandatory mods to have. Yeah, definitely, Sky. And the reason is because I can play, I can play different characters each time I play, because it really sucks coming back into the game in the middle of it. So then you start a new one and you say, oh, you know what? This time I'm going to do this type of role, or you do like a full immersive role, or you do. There's a mod that makes it so it's more of a survival game where you actually have to eat, drink water. You actually got to forward for your things. So you can't just run around all day. It's just one of those games that I can constantly go back to and enjoy it.
That's interesting. I think we talked about this before. When I get a game like Skyrim, I generally like to build one of each of the three primary ways you could play through the game, play them each for a little bit, and then pick one and stick with that one for the rest of the way, and generally never play through the game again. Just one playthrough as that type of character.
Oh, man. That's not how you play Skyrim.
That's how I play Skyrim.
You got to explore. You got to enjoy. You got to, like I told you, I hardly beat the game. Like, I've played so many characters beforehand that I never actually beat the game. Until, like, I did a orc guy with it was I don't know, just like a regular orc build, full armor, two-handed weapons, and then I beat it because it was kind of overpowered. It's like it's the equivalent of running around with a stealth archer, where you just one-shot things.
I love my stealth archer.
I don't know. It's not for me. I like stealth, but I don't like the long-range one-shot kills, even though the kill shots are always nice. But
it is funny to see an arrow hit somebody in the leg and drag them all across the room.
Just takes them across.
Some really bizarro ragdoll physics. I think that's why I kept doing it, because it was just hysterical.
One character or one special. I never did anything with alteration or conjuring, so I didn't have any. Which is another thing I want to do. I want to summon things and just have this big ass dude walking beside me, and I'm just standing back doing nothing. Like I would appreciate that, but I haven't done that yet. That might be my next playthrough.
Yeah, I tried to do a conjurer with the mods because I wanted like the skeleton army, kind of like the necromancer from Diablo 2.
Yep.
And I got the mod. It just did not really give me what I wanted out of that. And that game, I don't know, summoning classes are always difficult because if you make the summons too powerful, then the game gets too easy. If you make them too weak, then they become useless. It's really hard to find that perfect balance with a summoning class.
I think it really depends on what you're fighting against. Like, a lot of times I'll do what I want to do is have a summoner and then still use a lot of the destruction spells. So then my summoner runs in and pretty much is the tank role and just takes all the damage. Like if you're fighting a giant and a mammoth, you just run right in, and then you can just sit from afar and just keep hitting them with fire blast. Like that's okay. I like that. But I think Skyrim did a good job with it. They're not completely overpowered. They can die, but it's still nice. They did okay. I had a friend that did a complete playthrough with that, and he's like, "It's amazing. I don't have to worry about too much." He's like, "If it dies, I just bring up a new one. It's not that much of an issue."
Okay, so Skyrim, solid choice for Core 4. So I'll give you one of mine.
All right.
And this would be the oldest of my Core 4. This would be Mega Man 2, or as I like to call it, my relaxation game.
It's not relaxing, man. It is not relaxing.
You didn't grow up in the fires of war that we did on the Nintendo, son. It was brutal. They did mean things to us. We're all scarred a little bit from those kind of games.
It's a good game. Like, I don't hate excuse me. I don't hate it. I just the too much rage. Like, damn it. I shot you.
I don't know what to say, man. I'm starting to wonder if I could play the game blindfolded at this point. I just have played through it so many times. Like, there's no surprises.
And then, like, not knowing that there's probably a good order to which boss you fight.
There's always an order to the bosses you fight.
But you don't know this when you're initially playing. You're just I'm going to start with the top left guy. And then oh, man.
It's rough if you don't know the right order. Yeah.
Yep.
Even the easiest one in the series, like 2, is still hard.
I like how you say easiest, and I'm like, no, it's not, man.
Just don't even mess with 1 or 3 because you're not ready. What's interesting though is that the game it's so simple. It's just jump and shoot. That's all there is to it, and it really works well. The bosses I always find interesting because it's kind of like, ooh, what's this guy going to be like? You know, what's his level going to be about? And you get the enemy weapons after you beat the bosses. So then it's, what can I do with this new piece of my arsenal? And when you get things like metal blades, you realize you can take over the whole goddamn world. That might be the most overpowered weapon in any game ever. That thing is ridiculous. And most importantly, Mega Man 2 just nails the music.
Oh, man.
For a game music nerd like me, it is just a gem.
It has very good music. I've enjoyed it. Like, it's good stuff.
It's catchy. When I hear my son walking around the house humming Mega Man music, I know I'm doing something right as a dad. So, and I also realized that he has that ear for video game music like I do.
Oh, man.
So
that's good stuff.
Yeah, I can't get enough of it. My sister would probably watch me play that game like anytime. If I just put it on, she'd sit there and watch. She loves that game.
Wow, it's a whole family thing.
Oh, yeah. But, well, there's a long-standing tradition of me playing NES games and my sister watching me play. So, although she's still probably better than me at Super Mario Brothers 1.
Really?
Yeah, she's pretty wicked at that. And I'm okay, but Mario 1 is some of those World 8 worlds give me fits, and she seems to just fly through them like a knife through warm butter.
So let me get this straight. Mega Man, super easy for you, but Super Mario 1, not so much. I'm trying to understand this because I think Super Mario 1 is pretty easy. It does get tough, but it's still pretty.
You know what the difference is, really? I find the Mario games to be reflex games, which I'm good at, but okay. I find Mega Man to be a strategy game. Like, most people would look at it and think, oh, that's a reflex game, but I don't think it is. I always attack it like a strategy game. It's always about my plan in every situation.
You know, that is true, though. It's not a reflex game at all. I mean, you do need to have good reflexes, but no, you do. If you don't plan how you're going to go in, you're pretty much going to die.
Yeah, because that game is just like one obstacle after another.
Yep.
That you have to figure out how to get past. Whereas Mario is like an obstacle course that you have to get through.
Interesting.
At least that's how I see it.
I get that.
If I really wanted to get great at the very end of Mario 1, I probably could, but that one never... I liked it a lot, but I'll play any of the other Mario games over it at this point. I don't enjoy it as much as some of the other ones.
I get that.
Like, if I'm going to go back to 8-bit, I'm just going to play Mario 3. Like,
that's my...
Mario 2 if I want something quirky, you know. Yeah, so that's one of my core 4.
It's a good choice.
So what else have you got?
All right. So number 2 on my core 4. Um, let's see. I think I'm gonna go to something that I've spent a lot of time on, and that was the SimCity 4.
Simpson City 4?
No, I did not say Simpson City. Is that even
Uh,
a game?
no, I don't know. I was just
Yeah,
throwing a joke out.
the SimCity games were always something that I spent a lot of my time on, and I think mainly because it's a very relaxing game. Like you pretty much build your city, you manage your city, and then you see what kind of different cities you can build off of that. And I think that was one reason. Like it was a good time waster.
You know what? And I think that's my problem with SimCity, that I haven't, like SimCity, The Sims, Spore, like all those Will Wright style games.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to play them in recent years because as my time to play games has gotten more and more truncated, the idea of a game that I just sit there and waste time at is not as appealing as it once was.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get a family. You know, you got to do stuff that you can. That's not completely time wasting.
That's what happens when you get old and your body breaks down if you play games too long. You got to like move around and do stuff or your body gets mad at you.
Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah, because I used to love that stuff back when I was like 16, 17, 18. I would just love to build like monstrosity city, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly that's around the time that I started playing those. SimCity, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and all those are just great time wasters, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, I remember doing like dumb stuff like sitting around with like a pad and paper and like drawing out the plumbing for my city before I started laying it, like getting an idea how I was going to run all the pipes under the city. And
you and I both, man.
Yeah, so I mean that stuff was really cool. And I remember, what was it, SimCity 2, where you could do the virtual tour thing. So like it would like drive around in first person.
Yeah. They have that in 4 too, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember the thought back then. I was like, whoa.
In my own city?
Yeah, you know, it was like so amazing, you know.
Yeah, that game, I spent countless hours on it. Like I had it for PC, and then when it came out on PlayStation, I ended up getting it then. But when I had it on PlayStation, I could map out my city, how I wanted to build, set up the plumbing, set up the lights, set up the power and everything, and just get that set up to how I wanted to look, and then turn off my TV, go to sleep, wake up in the morning 8 hours later, and see what happened. Usually some type of catastrophe hit it. You get a tornado or you get a meteor or something, but
oh man.
But it was cool to see what happened without you like completely controlling the taxes and everything.
I remember this just totally popped back into my head. I remember I thought I was pretty good at SimCity, and then I was at my buddy's house one day and we were hanging out and his brother was playing SimCity.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, you like SimCity? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I like it. And I was like, oh, your city's kind of weak. And he's like, this is a new city. He's like, here, hold on. And, you know, he goes and he loads up his old city. This crazy bastard, and you may have seen this before as a big fan, but this is like the mid 90s when I'm seeing this. So this is like pre-internet and everything. So you didn't know what everybody else in the world was doing. He terraformed, or not terraformed, but he did the land formation stuff prior to building his city.
Okay.
He built a giant hill in the corner, like just a massive hill.
All right.
And then he put water on it. And he created this massive like waterfall river to do hydropower for his city.
That is brilliant.
And I saw it, and then I saw this like sprawling metropolis around it that he had built, and I was like, wow, I'm not good at this game at all.
When I learned that you can actually landscape, I was like, oh yeah, but I would have never considered the hydropower water hill.
all I did was flatten everything. I was like, I hate hills.
I had to learn how to do it. Like hills, I can't build on a hill, so why would I even do that? But like slowly I would get into it.
I just built a flat plain like Tornado Valley. Like everything's flat. You know?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was one of the moments I like realized other people can game. Like, you better step your game up, man.
Yep. And then I've seen some like, um, so no one's playing any of the Sims games anymore. They kind of
After the
killed it with
disaster from that last one.
Yep.
Okay.
So like the new games are Cities XL and City Skyline.
Oh, I
And
heard about City Skylines.
City Skylines is a very good game. And oh man, the stuff you can do in there is ridiculous. And like now we have the internet, so we can see other people's creations. You're like, how did you do that? What? I don't even understand. Like one guy built a city around a highway on ramps and off ramps. So there's a highway, then he created a bunch of off ramps and on ramps, and he just used those to build his city around. And I'm like, how did he do this? Like he had the full towers and everything. I'm like, how did you even get to this point?
Wow.
I'm still working on flat and getting the mechanics of the game. And this guy's got this ridiculous city. I'm like, this is great. Yeah, there's so much you can do in there. The traffic actually makes sense in there. It's good stuff.
Okay. Well, so you got Skyrim and you got SimCity 4 so far.
Mm-hmm.
I got Mega Man 2. So I'll give you another one of mine here.
All right.
And since we're doing sequels, we may as well just stick with it. And the next one on my list would have to be Diablo 2.
Okay. Good game.
Well, for the 11-year hiatus, we had to go without Diablo games. Thanks, World of Warcraft, for ruining that. This was the game I kept coming back to for 11 years. I can't think of many games I've played as much as this one and gotten addicted to it every time I come back. Like, it's one thing to play a game again and come back and like, yeah, it's fun, had fun with it. Like, to actually come back and become completely enamored with the game again says something special about what they did with that game.
That game was really well done. I don't think I have any negative memories from it besides there's this one friend who we'd play with, and he was the dick that would go around and just grab all the loot. Like I think it was like you press control and
that's not a friend.
He would do like, dude, why are you saying I'll give you guys the loot? No, just it falls down. Let us figure out who gets what, and then we'll go from there. Nope, this dude's like pressing control, loot all, and I'm like, that's some bogus stuff, man.
See, you got to send that guy naked pictures of his sister. Like, I mean, you don't ninja the loot, man. That's just a violation.
And then sometimes he'll be like, all right, I'll trade you. And it's like, no, what? You don't even need that. What do you mean I'll trade you? Just give me the damn loot. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to worry about that in 3 at least.
Not at all.
But
it is great.
See, I like a lot of what they did with 3. I like the engine. I like that they got rid of the reliance on potions. I like the idea that the game is better balanced, so either you can or can't beat an encounter. But what I miss is the story and the exploration in 2. The randomized areas made it so every time you got somewhere, there was a sense of exploration. And there were a few scripted areas that always played out the same. But the idea that you could get into an area and you didn't know where you had to go kept it interesting.
Yeah, they did do that a lot.
I also liked the characters, and I think I was telling you about this recently, that every time I made a character, I would think that that was the best character I'd ever made. I made a druid who was the bear transformation druid, and he would just stun and smash everything. And when I played him, I said, this is the best character I've ever made. Then I went and made the wolf druid, the speed druid. And I came back with that druid, and I was like, this druid kills that other character. This is the best character I ever made. Then I made a shock zeal paladin and destroyed the game with that. And was like, this is the best character I've ever made. And just continued this process. Every time I made a new character, it was better than the one before it. and I always thought it was the best character I ever made. And that says a lot to how well put together those classes were in that game.
I enjoyed those classes a lot. I love the different ones they had. Um, when I'm thinking about this, I kind of do want to go back and play them. I always played. It was either a barbarian or a paladin, and man, those are some fun times. And I kind of want to go back and play it, but I got D3. Why do I need to go back?
Eastern Sun. When I found that mod, that really helped push a couple more years of life into that game, because that really kind of reshuffled the deck. And I liked a lot of what they did with the expanded storage in that, and some of the new areas, getting to go after certain people I didn't get a chance to kill in the main story was fun. So I liked that. I liked that there was a dedicated modding community out there back when modding tools were not readily available.
There was also the hacks, which got really annoying.
Yeah.
Playing with like, I'm level 99. You're like, why?
Okay, you win at games. Go home.
This does nothing to us at all. Like, you just, okay. Yep.
Well, he saved a lot of time. Maybe he's a busy guy. Or gal. So anyway, Diablo 2, love it. I would love nothing more than if Blizzard would give us Diablo 2 rebuilt on the Diablo 3 engine as the next expansion pack for Diablo 3. Give me the shiny graphics, instead of the skill trees, just redo it with runes, which is fine by me, because dumping points uselessly into skills for minimal percentile increases isn't as fun as attaching a rune that makes it actually do something.
Very true.
So, just rebuild it on the D3 engine. Let me replay that story with pretty graphics and a barbarian who can send an enemy flying across the screen. That would be great. Blizzard, free ideas. Take them, please. Plagiarize me. And then thank me later with some royalties.
It's too much. You're asking for too much.
Okay, screw the royalties. I'll settle for just getting the game.
Yeah. Oh, I would love that. I would actually really enjoy playing a new polished Diablo 2. Same story and everything. Same classes, same story. Just polished. Oh,
great. And it fits perfectly into tonight's theme of HD remastering. Like,
it does.
You talk about games that could just really benefit from it. That game really could. And some of the modern gaming conventions, it's been over a decade. It needs a little tuning.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's two of mine. So you want to do the other two for each of us, or you want to save them for another episode?
Yeah, you know what? Let's save them.
Okay.
We'll do another one. Yeah.
So it was a core 4. It was just 2 of mine and 2 of yours.
Yep.
So all right. So maybe
that works.
Maybe next week's episode we'll get into the other 2.
All right.
So mine may contain a Final Fantasy game for those who care.
I think we both.
Oh boy, look at that. We're just keeping the Final Fantasy games in our pockets.
They're too good. Can't beat them.
I get a feeling you're going to surprise us with yours.
With what? Oh, I think so too.
I don't think yours is going to be one of the super popular ones.
Nope. It's like a 50-50 with people.
I look forward to it. Okay. So with the core 4 out of the way, we'll get into our topic of the night here. And we're talking HD remasters.
Yes.
And this is kind of a new thing, the HD remaster to collections.
Mm-hmm.
I know there were collections in the past, like there was the Mario All-Stars, going as far back as that. I really remember this new trend of it taking off with like the God of War collection on PS3 a few years back. There may have been something else. Maybe the Metal Gear Solid collection was before that. I can't really remember exactly what order they came out in, and it's not really relevant which one came out first. But that was kind of where I remember starting to see this happen.
I think, yeah. It was right. It was when the net, well, what they called next gen consoles was when the PS3 and the Xbox came out, and they started remastering games. And I like it. I like what they're doing,
Yeah, well,
especially when the games are actually really good.
you know what I wanted to put in there? The first one I remember being like a big deal was when what was it? Halo Anniversary Edition.
Yep.
And that was beautiful because of the whole press the back button to go back and see it in the original graphics. What a beautiful touch to that game.
Yep.
And I think that was really maybe when it started to really push. But I thought what you saw was that Sony really drove a lot of this because if you remember when the PS3 comes out, it's backward compatible because that was PlayStation's thing. It was always backwards compatible. And then it was too expensive and they marketed it poorly and nobody liked it. No, some people liked it, but most people were scared off by the big price tag and a lot of Sony's arrogance around the release of the PS3. Xbox 360 had already come out and was gaining a little bit of traction and had some good games on the horizon. And the Wii came out and was gangbusters. So, and you got to think about it too. When you're talking about people picking something up, when you see the $600 system next to the $250 system, yeah, you might think, well, that one's got to be better because it costs more. But that's a lot of games you're not getting.
Yep.
Now we all kind of fell for the Wii, and it's hard life, but it tricked all of us. But then what Sony started doing was axing features out of the PS3, including the backward compatibility.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Hey, I still have a backwards compatible one, and I'm very happy that I do. And when they got rid of that, I think they took the opportunity to kind of start re-releasing games, which was like the God of War collection. Like here you go. You can't play your old one, but you can play them still. And I don't think we realized at the time what that was going to mean as far as all these HD remasters and such and collections.
Well, if I remember correct, I think was in GameCube had a lot of
Resident Evil remake.
A lot of the old Zelda games were on there, but I don't think they were remakes. I think they just allowed you to play them on those systems.
It was a collector's disc.
Okay.
And you got it by signing up for Nintendo Power. So I actually signed up for Nintendo Power in my mid-20s just to get that disc. I don't think I spent more than 5 minutes reading any of the, like in total, all 12 of the issues I got.
Yeah.
Less than 5 minutes total. Oh, I just wanted the disc. I paid for the disc and got a free subscription with it.
There you go.
And that disc is awesome, and I still love it. And I still have my GameCube hooked up, so that tells you about that system. But
system.
Yeah, so you did have that. You had the Resident Evil remake. That is actually the genesis of a lot of this, maybe.
I want to say, yeah, that probably was.
And that's been remade now too. But yeah, that's the next wave is the remakes.
Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with that. Every time there's a new generation, they remake a game with a better engine, better graphics.
I guess I get the Resident Evil thing just because when they redid it on GameCube, we still weren't playing on widescreen.
Yep.
So they weren't ready for that. Now everything's in widescreen. So if you redo it and get it up to widescreen format, I get it. It makes sense. Like if they re-release The Last of Us remastered next year, I'll be pretty upset if they do something like that because there's no reason to do it. Like it's been remastered. It looks amazing. It's awesome. Leave it alone.
Yep.
But okay, so we know the remake had a lot to do with it. We know Sony had a lot to do with it with the backwards compatibility. People clearly buy them because they keep making them.
They keep making them, and then you're really getting your sales from fans and people who haven't played it. Like, oh, I have the new system, and I have heard this game is good. Might as well get the remastered one.
The only thing that bothers me is the idea to sell a game, but since we're going to sell it, we can't let people play the old version. I don't like it if it's sneaky underhanded like that.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation 4 didn't have backwards compatibility, which was strange, but they had made this big purchase in Gaikai, and they wanted to do their streaming games thing, which they do with PlayStation now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they didn't want backwards compatibility, even if they could have done it. I don't think they wanted it because they wanted to force people to pay for PlayStation Now and felt that if they could just pop the old disc in, they wouldn't.
This is true. I mean, from a business aspect, that makes a lot of sense, but it is kind of a bogus thing.
I just feel like you're spitting in your customers' faces, though, when you do this. Because if somebody wants to play their old game that they have, I don't think there's a problem with that. I also don't think it would hurt sales as much as they would like to believe, because gamers tend to like to buy the shiny new. That's why the graphics get better on every system. You know, we are obsessed with having the newest version of things, the best looking version of things.
Yep.
So all you're really doing is cutting out that small corner of people probably who would be like, no, I have the old one, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, this is true. I don't think it would cut it back. It wouldn't cut down on sales too much.
And not to mention, what about all the people like this generation who came from the 360 and are now on the PS4? Like, they don't have a backlog of PS3 games. So guess what? Like, they are going to go buy your digital version of it. Like, just make it work. I don't know. So that would be my biggest complaint with the HD remasters.
Yeah.
That and kind of what I just talked about a moment ago, where if you're remastering a game that just came out, like Sony just redid God of War 3, and I'm just thinking to myself, are you kidding me? God of War 3 just came out not that long ago.
Why would you redo that?
Yeah. Like, we don't need that one redone. Like, go back into the archive and get something older that we need redone.
Yeah, that's a little nah.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's too soon.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thing. Is if you're going to remaster something, it should either be one of the greatest games, like when people think of best games, something along the lines of The Last of Us. They remastered it 1 year after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that because that is a definitive game that you need to get into the hands of as many people as possible. And if making a remastered version for the PS4 is the way to do that, then that's okay, because we need as many people as possible to play that game. That is an experience that needs to be shared. God of War 3 is not. It's just not. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of the God of War series. That's just not. It's a fun action game. It's over the top ridiculous. It's crazy set pieces, but it's not in the caliber or the league of The Last of Us.
No, I'll give you that. I played the first one. I didn't play the second or third, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the just completely over the top action. It just felt good. It felt nice.
2 was really good. You should probably go back and play 2. 3 is, I didn't really like it. It was just, I think at that point the series had just gotten very stale.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have been happier if they'd have re-released the God of War collection, which was 1 and 2, in HD on the PS4. That would have been better. Like, up-resing them games to the modern stuff would have been great. So I don't know. That's where I am as far as the HD remasters. I love the idea of pulling out classic games and bringing them back to life and getting them back in the hands of gamers. I don't like when you do the recent ones, and I don't like if it's a dirty policy to cut out backwards compatibility and such.
Yeah. You know, I'm still iffy on them. I'm like right in the middle ground for it, because I see why they do it. I don't necessarily agree with it too much, but I see where they're going with it. I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know the numbers. I don't know how many people would actually not buy the game if they have the original version. Like personally, if I have the original version, I'm probably not going to buy the 3D remaster unless it comes with something else.
You know what we'll have to keep our eyes on, I think?
What's that?
Let's keep an eye on Microsoft with the Xbox backward compatibility now. And let's see if somebody does an HD remaster of a game you could just pop in and play.
Well, have they come out with the list yet of games that are going to be backwards compatible?
I would have to check. I'm not sure. It should be out soon if it's not, because it's supposed to launch like next month, I believe. So
my guess is it's going to be like a week beforehand.
Maybe.
But
if that situation were to happen, where somebody were to release a game that you could just grab your old disc and play, that would be a great litmus test. But somebody has to have the courage to do that. And if I was a publisher, I could see why you would be nervous to do it. Because you're talking some serious money.
You are.
But I hope somebody has the courage to do it, because maybe we could start getting some definitive evidence to prove it one way or the other.
Yeah, because right now, yeah, you're right, though. Right now, it seems a little iffy. Seems a little shady. But yeah, there's no numbers based on that. We don't have any idea how that would work, because no one's actually done it. But and keep an eye out on that Xbox One backwards compatibility.
Yeah, that's something I'm very, very interested in. Okay, so we're talking HD remasters. If you had a game that you could remaster in HD, right? We'll just play the fantasy game.
All right.
What game are you pulling out of the vault?
Can I have two?
Sure. I'm kind of curious to know what you're thinking.
All right. First one, Final Fantasy VIII. I think that one definitely needs to be remade. Just the whole story in general was great. The gameplay is great, but it was because it's on the PlayStation. If you go back and play it, you notice some like weird things. Like the backgrounds were all visually nice. Everything seemed smooth, but your characters were all extremely rough, and they didn't really fit with the background at all. So it was just kind of like you were walking across, like if you were to, like all the movies nowadays are usually filmed in a green screen. That's pretty much how that game looks. They just kind of placed a background behind a few actors and said, all right, go ahead, go. And I feel like with the new engines, it'd be great.
Well, it was one of the functions of that time, was that the pre-rendered backgrounds could look significantly better than the animated 3D models. And it makes me wonder if maybe there should have been a conscious decision to scale down the quality of the pre-rendered backgrounds
to fit with the character models.
Right, to bring it a little closer in line. Or if they should have tried to avoid like close-ups of the characters. Because
that's basically most of the game was.
Well, 8 did it a lot more than 7. 7 did it, and it was really jarring when they did it. But 7 spent a lot of time far away from the characters too. When the further you get away from it, the less you notice like the blocky resolutions or kind of the faded, like blurry details of the character models.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say, well, what'll be fascinating to see is, with the Final Fantasy VII remake in the works, if it comes out and it just destroys, like just kills the sales charts, will they go back and do 8 and 9?
It's weird because they've done sort of HD remasters of some of the older ones.
They did the easier ones because when like redoing Final Fantasy X and 10 Part 2 is really easy for the most part, because you already have the voice acting, and you just recycle the voice acting, and you just pretty up the graphics, translate it to widescreen. It's like a pretty port. redoing the PlayStation 1 games is a much more challenging endeavor.
It's
And I wrote a
completely
blog about this a while back. Mainly because switching from text dialogue to voice acting is a really large endeavor. Because when you did text, those text files were so tiny and they just went on and on and on and on in these dialogues. To do that level of voice acting would be really a large undertaking. Not impossible. It's been done probably with some other games, but it would be a lot.
Yeah, considering how large a game that is.
And oh, I was going to say modern games do a lot of camera work too, like a movie now. So as characters talk, the camera pans back and forth to different characters. In the PlayStation 1 era, they didn't really do that.
No, you just saw
you saw kind of everybody, and text bubbles just popped up. So if you went in this long, drawn-out conversation, now you have to do all that camera work too, back and forth, back and forth. It's a lot to program.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to change the game a lot. And I don't think they're going to use the same engine that they've used before for the PlayStation era games. They're just going to completely do a new one. I would like to see them do it on their new engine that they released with, I think, Final Fantasy, 15? Is that what we're on now?
What they did episode Dusky on?
Mm-hmm. Like
that would be interesting.
That looks beautiful. Like I can see them using that. From what I read earlier, I looked this up today for the Final Fantasy VII HD remake. They're not even using that. So I have no idea what they're going to do with that. But either way, if it comes out looking nice, I would still like to see a 8 remake. I've seen there's been some like fan-based renderings of different things. There's one of the gardens and it looks beautiful. It's like they could do this. They can it would make my day. Like I'm already going to buy a PlayStation 4 for the Final Fantasy VII HD. And for 8, I mean, you just got me. I'm done.
You know what would interest me a lot with this? There's a few things that just my mind's already flooded with a million things. One is that the game could definitely use the graphical overhaul.
Yep.
But two is that it'd be a chance to go back and tweak some of the game system a little bit. You know, the early game was a little too dependent on drawing magic. I know some people cry like babies to the end of time about it. It's not that bad, but it's a little cumbersome. The reliance on summoning in the early game's a bit much. And then by the end game, it's almost irrelevant, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, they make it... I mean, it was part of your character. It was the Guardian Forces. Like, that's what you were out looking for in the beginning of the game. Was, I think one of the first ones, Ifrit?
That's, yeah, because you have to go into the cave for the test and get him.
And yes. I think that kind of, I mean, you already know what's going to happen after that. You're going to have to use GFs more often. But, yeah, I didn't really think it was a problem. I know you did. You used it a lot. You just pretty much spammed all of your GFs and summoning until you couldn't anymore. And then
in a lot of ways, it was a damage shield because you'd call them out. And then it was like every time you got hit, they took the damage.
Yep.
So it was, you know, it was a blade of armor. So I would like to see them just get in there and kind of tinker it. Like now that they've had all these years sitting on it, like, you know, are there things you can change to make it a little better? You know, could you give could there be the ability to pick up draw weapons? So when you attack an enemy, you draw a spell or two out too. You know, then in the early game, instead of having to draw all the time, you could equip the draw weapon, which might do a little less damage, but grab a couple spells on the way out too. You know?
Okay.
Just something like that just kind of streamlines the gameplay a little more. You know, for people who don't like the cumbersome stuff, I'm obsessive. I'm just I'm drawing off this guy till I have 100 for everybody, and you know, I'm just going to listen to a great podcast like the Collective Gamescast while I do it. CollectiveGC.com, people. Okay, so the other thing, the Triple Triad card game. This
Yeah,
game was the best. They had that craptastic garbage card game in 9, which I don't know why they put that thing in there because they already made a perfect card game.
I don't understand nines. Like, I think I told you before. Like, I thought I had it in my head. Like, all right, so this is the strategy. You got to go into it, and it wasn't the strategy. It didn't work.
It's like the game is designed to piss you off. Like,
Yep.
here's my guy. He attacks in that direction. I have a higher number than the guy he's going to hit, and I lose. It makes no sense. It's the most ridiculous nonsense. The triple triad in 8 was great. If you had the higher number, you win. What a great concept. It's easy and simple to understand. But what would be great now is in the modern era, have card battles.
Online.
Yeah. So, like, I got my deck, you got your deck, we could play. They could even isolate it. They could have your single player game deck and then your online deck, and they could monetize it like Hearthstone style if they wanted to. People seem to love that shit.
Dude, card games, the online card games that are coming out, everyone's on top of that. And it works. It makes money too, which is crazy. Like, there is the way that you can build your own deck without paying, but then there's the quicker way where you can just buy the cards. It's kind of like how Magic the Gathering was such a huge thing. It's great. And I think if they can incorporate that easily, be its own standalone game.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I think that would be awesome. I'd love to play some people in some online triple triad, and you know me, old head gamer doesn't want to play with people.
Yeah, that is.
I would play that.
It's a tad shocking. It's like, what?
Okay, so there's that.
Yep.
The other thing is it'd be a chance to maybe tighten up some story threads, because this game always bothered me. There were some things that didn't make sense in the story, and I'd be remiss at this point if I didn't give a shout out to squallsdead.com because this guy lays out a really interesting scenario, basically saying that the main character of the game is dead for the last 3/4 of the game. And basically everything that happens after that point where something happens to him, well, let's just say he gets an ice lance through the chest at one point.
Right through the chest.
Yeah. And he basically theorizes that it's all a dream while he's dying, It's really good. It's really long. I can't go into the details of all of it right now, but it explains a lot of things. And it makes a lot of things make a lot more sense than they do with the natural story. Like, if Square just came out today and was like, yeah, he died, we just didn't want to put a sad ending, like, I'd be like, okay, fine. Makes more sense that way. You had the nice happy ending at the end, but, like, it would have made more sense had he died there, because they never really resolve anything that happened with that. It's just left kind of a mystery for the rest of the game. So, I don't know. Definitely, if you're a Final Fantasy VIII fan, check out squallsdead.com. This guy has a great theory. I like it. I don't necessarily know that that's the way it has to be, but it sure makes some sense and definitely gets you thinking more about the plot of the game.
I mean, it sounds right to me. So, it makes a lot of sense to how the story played out. I'm gonna have to give that a good read.
Yeah. Also, what would be good is in the original game, I remember the GFs were like super important, but there were a bunch you had to get from bosses. And if you missed them, you could not get them again until the very, very, very end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the last dungeon, you could get all them GFs that you missed. But some of them are really critical to some grinding strategies. So I think what would be cool is if they redid it to, if you miss that opportunity to draw it off the boss basically for free, there should be a shop somewhere that has them. And they could cost like quite a bit of gil or whatever.
I mean, they make it so you can get gil pretty easily with the seed test.
Yeah, but you could make them a bit exorbitant. So at least give people an opportunity to get those things sooner if they miss.
Yep.
Because there was nothing more annoying than when I would fight the Norg boss and he had the Leviathan summon.
Yep.
but he was inside that giant shell thing, and you had to crack the armor on the shell to open it. Then he was exposed. Then you could draw to summon. And you know how many times I would fight that guy and forget to summon or
Yeah, you
draw to
get
summon and then have to reset.
by the time you crack the shell, you just keep going. You forget.
Yeah, I'm just knee deep in a fight, like,
Yep.
you know. So
Yeah, okay.
clean up a couple little things like that, you know.
I didn't even think about that. That's actually a good point. It would be nice to be able to get that, but yeah, I'd definitely reset. There was.
If I miss
needed it.
if I'm going back, I'm not. Yep. Yeah. And there's also no indication that any boss has a GF. So every time you fight a boss, you have to draw from every question mark slot to make sure you get,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is a bit cumbersome. It also means you have to remember to equip someone with draw, because if you're like me and you just play cards like a maniac, you stop drawing magic off people. Like you don't need that command anymore.
There's a point whenever I'm playing, and it's similar to what you were just talking about, where I just keep going. Like once you get halfway into a battle, and if you didn't draw anything, and you just completely forget that you probably should do that. And it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just get too into it and just keep going. There's no strategy. It's just like, I'm about to fuck everything up right now. I'm going to win. I'm going to continue the story. But I like that idea. I'm sticking with that.
I will say this. A lot of people give the soundtrack to that game crap, and I have no idea why, because it's some just masterpiece by Uematsu. I'll say the same thing I said in my Final Fantasy VII blog. Don't mess with the music. It's fine. When they did the Final Fantasy X and they messed with the music and just fucked it all up, it was just awful. And I was glad in the PS4 version they gave you the option to use the original soundtrack, because it was wrong. It wasn't the right music. Every time I'd hear a track, I'd be like, that's not what it's supposed to sound like right here. So don't mess with the music. Uematsu is a genius walking among just ants. And, you know, we're all just lucky to have a guy like that making great game music.
They did that before with the Final Fantasy VIII PC port.
Oh, God.
Just
yeah.
The only bad review I got out of that was everyone was upset that they screwed up the music.
Yeah, that whole PC thing was kind of a mess for 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up that. The last thing I think that comes to mind when it comes to 8 is that game had kind of a school days feel to it in the early parts of the game, with everything at Garden and being the students and everybody's wearing their uniforms, except Squall and Seifer, because for some reason they don't have to wear their uniforms. You know,
the top people in their class was like, nah, screw that.
Yeah, talent gets to do it at once, right? It's just like college athletics.
I don't need that.
Yeah. So it'd be really neat, though, if they could kind of look at what the guys are doing with Persona and some of that kind of school days feel. And it'd be cool if they could take some like little cues from that and just integrate some stuff along those lines with, like, you know, like social connections and, like, you know, extracurricular activities. And stuff like that, like things that just happen when you're in school, you know?
I don't know. I think that whole point was a school for an army, and then they had the big battle going on.
Yeah, I just hate that you never get to know anybody else at the school. They're all just faceless.
That's true. You know, Cypher and his goons.
Yeah.
And Quistis, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much
your team. That's pretty much it. And everybody else is just junk. They're just
there.
Yeah, they can shoot a gun. Like,
well, you put it that way, it's like, is the rest of the school that weak?
Yeah, like, no wonder, like, we can't do anything.
Yep.
Our whole squad is just a bunch of people stand around and don't go on missions.
Oh, yeah. Irvin is the other one who doesn't wear uniforms.
Yeah.
Yep, he was the other cool guy. Too good for that.
Yeah. So it'd be cool to see them develop, like, the school and some of the other students that are there. And, you know, it'd be cool if in the parking garage there was more than one car. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense to walk into a parking garage with all the vehicles for the whole school, and there's one car.
It's just one.
Just one. That's it. That's all we got. Of course, their school is located on this tiny island with nothing else on it but one town.
Yep.
So it's I don't know. I'd like to see them liven that world up a bit. So I would love to see it though. Remaster that game. Do 7, don't screw it up, and then do 8.
Yep.
And then do 9, and
Oh yeah.
make half the characters actually interesting, because they certainly were not.
And take out take out the whole card game. Just
replace
it.
Actually put a side mission in the 9 remaster where you get to take that card game and throw it into a fire and just burn it. And then this guy in a bomber jacket with slicked back hair is just like, here, play this game. And he gives us triple triad. There we go.
The bomber jacket.
I just fixed Final Fantasy 9.
I don't know, the characters weren't uninteresting in there.
All right.
They're different.
Let's save this for another time, because this is going to get really long-winded if we get going on it.
Very true.
Okay, so you had Final Fantasy VIII. You said you had another one, though. So what else was...
This one just popped up when I was thinking about Nintendo, and I would love to see a modern-day graphic version of Star Fox 64.
Really?
Yes.
I never played it.
Oh, it's a great game. It was one of the first to actually use 3D the way it should be, like a 3D flying game.
It was up, down, and down, up?
Yep. It had inverted controls, and the best part is the controller fit perfectly for what you were doing. And it was a great game. You're flying one. I think in the middle you get a tank, which is pretty cool. But that was a great game. There was not much that was wrong with it. Maybe the voice acting was a little boring, but no, they did that very well. And with the graphics nowadays, I think you could really change that up, make it look real nice.
Interesting. I just never got into Star Fox. I tried to play on the SNES, and I was just like, this isn't really fun. I don't know. Maybe it was just the 3D stuff kind of got everybody to like, oh my god. Like,
oh man.
I remember I played that 3D racing game on Genesis, whatever that was. And I remember being like, whoa, 3D. And then being like, yeah, this game isn't fun though. So it was kind of the same thing. Like 3D just wasn't good enough to interest me if the game wasn't good.
3D racing game.
Oh, geez. I can't remember the name of it.
On Genesis?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember this game distinctly. I'll try to look it up here. I just cannot remember the game.
I think you should revisit Star Fox, though. It's definitely one of the top 64 games.
Virtual Racing. Jeez. I should have thought of that.
Virtual Racing.
Yeah.
An easy name.
I can't believe that didn't come to me. Yeah, let's see. Released in arcades October of 92 worldwide. Came to the Genesis March 14th of 94 in the US.
I know that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot it was part of the whole Virtua series.
Nah, it wasn't good. I think if we're going back there, my favorite racer in that time was Pole Position.
Well, my point was that it was 3D, like Star Fox, and it just didn't. It also didn't do anything for me. I was just not impressed at all.
Did you play the multiplayer? I know you don't like it, but did you play it?
No.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it's a very well done game, and the multiplayer was just as fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big flying game kind of person either, though. I don't really like any like flight simulator. I like shmups. That's about it. Give me a little Einhander. That's my kind of flying game.
I love. I like Space Sim. So I mean, So I like the Eve game. I like Elite Dangerous, and I think Star Fox kind of started that. I never played any of the flight simulator games, but if it's got space involved, I'm all over it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so why Star Fox 64 over the original?
Well, obviously the 3D in Star Fox 64, the controls in Star Fox 64, the targeting was great. I don't know. I just really, it was probably, I don't want to say it was one of my favorite ones, but it's definitely in my top like 5 games for 64 that I enjoyed playing. And then the multiplayer on there was excellent. Um, I don't know. I don't have like one specific detail that makes me really like it. I just remember having the most amount of fun playing that.
When's the last time you played it?
It was probably a very long time ago.
I'm just wondering how driven by nostalgia you may be about the game. Like, if you went back now, would you really like it that much?
That's a good point. I could try that out. I know they have a 3DS version of it.
Interesting.
Maybe I
If you
should go
do,
back
if you
and
replay it, definitely let me know what your opinions are going back. Yeah, because you know how old games get. Sometimes you remember them different than they really are, and when you go back to play them, you're kind of like, ugh. But if
Well,
you go back and you play it and you're just like N64 controller is garbage, that's a good reason to remaster a game because that controller sucked.
but the controller worked well with the game. Like, it was one of the few that actually worked.
Most of the Nintendo games did work well with the controller, but that controller was a flaming pile of refuse.
I don't even know why they had that. It was so weird.
The analog stick was great. Awesome job there. Everything else could burn. Yeah. Remember it had that weird, like, 3-pronged thing?
Yeah.
Do you remember on the box, though, of the N64, it had, like, play 3 ways. And it was, like, one was, like, where you hold the D-pad in one thumb, and then you hold the analog stick with the other thumb, so you have the hands on the two left.
Wait.
The 2 left prongs.
Why would you play that way?
I have no idea. No game ever got used in that way, but it was on the box, and then it had like the left hand on the analog stick and like right hand on the A, B, and the C buttons. So you had your hands in the more right alignment on the 2 prongs, and then it had the way I think most everybody played was like with the left and the right prong, but you would stretch all the way over to the analog stick.
Wait. No, I always played with my hand in the middle.
Did you? Okay.
Yep.
I could not do that.
There was no games that actually used the D-pad.
Yeah, but I just had to have my hand on the other side of the controller like that for a counterweight. Like, I couldn't hold the middle. It just felt stupid. Like, it was like, well, why isn't the analog stick over there then? Like, if I have to use that all the time. So
I mean, everything was in 3D, so I felt the D-pad was completely useless. So I just kept my hand right in the middle. And I don't have large hands, so I mean, like, it worked out perfectly.
Between the like hard decisions that went into a lot of the N64, that controller was probably one of the main reasons I started gaming more on PlayStation, because once I got my hands on the DualShock, I was like, hey, that's how it should work. Like, it was so simple, so obvious, but not to Nintendo.
I didn't mind the 64 controller. It was a little weird, but once you figured out how you were playing, it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, hey, I got through the games I had to get through with it, like Quest.
Oh, Quest 64?
Somebody kill me for ever playing that.
Best RPG ever.
Oh, man. I mean, totally. Like, Nintendo was all like, we got Quest 64. We don't need Final Fantasy 7.
Like, let's be real here, though. With a name like Quest 64, you have to know how generic and boring that game was going to be. Yeah. But I still played it.
Oh, it was a quest.
Yeah.
That's about all it was, though. Just a quest.
Just a quest. Such a weird game.
Yeah, it was. Don't HD remaster that. No, we should not let people play that. We should put it next to E.T. in the desert.
I think if we're going to bring somebody into the RPG world, say, here, just play this.
They will never like RPGs. That's how you make people not like RPGs. Like, I don't know what the worst FPS is ever, and I don't even think Quest is probably the worst RPG ever. But if you let somebody play that and tell them this is what RPGs are, they'll be like, that's not for me.
You guys like this game? You're crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It'd be like having to play Tetris without being able to see the pieces. They wouldn't show up until after they landed. You'd be like, I didn't know what it was. I didn't want it there.
I'm still trying to figure out why they even made that game.
Somebody thought it was a good idea.
Somebody. And then
somebody at a publisher said, that's a good game. Let's do that.
Good call.
Yeah, this is what we want to invest large amounts of money into. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I'm definitely down with the FF8. I'm not a Star Fox kind of guy, but I'll take your word for it since you are.
It's a great game, man. Let's boot it up.
Okay, so my game that I would HD remaster if you gave me the opportunity is not probably what you thought it would be. It's actually Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Ooh, yes.
We talked about this last week. And I could only begin to imagine how many vacation days I would have to take off if they did that. Because the first game took about a good 12 hours out of my life the first day. So replaying it in HD would, it would own me.
And, man, there's so much they can add to it too.
Well, they could definitely flesh the worlds out some more because it was a fairly empty game in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But on the technology they had, and it was BioWare's first console game, I believe, or at least first console game of consequence. And they really were they were a smaller company then too. They weren't the big monster they are now. I would just love to see what they could do. If I had my way, they would do the HD remaster. They probably never would, but I would like them to. But if another studio took it on, I'm sure they could think of some things to do.
I'm trying to think of what you could actually improve on. I mean, obviously, besides the worlds, character models.
Yeah, the character models would get better. You definitely want to flesh the worlds out some more. Make the game a little bigger, I think, because it feels a little small now compared to modern games.
Well, I mean, let's think about this for a second. You wasted 12 hours on a smaller game, and now you're asking for more space, more world.
Hey, man, I have problems, okay?
How does your health feel about that?
I feel like I have to prepare like I'm going to do American Ninja Warrior for a week before the game releases to be able to sit down that long and not die.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
so, I'd be all aboard this Coda remake. Like, that is...
What? Just replaying the game is beautiful. Like, the graphic upgrade is great, but I still contend that Knights of the Old Republic is the best Star Wars story that's been told. Now, I don't
think anyone's going to argue that.
I know some people might with the expanded universe books. I never read those.
I've never read the books. No.
I can't argue for any of that. But of the movies and the games, this I think was the best. So just getting a chance to replay that story, getting it to more people. Like, this game was stuck on the Xbox back when nobody wanted the Xbox.
Very true.
So getting this out, I think, would be important in that regard, to just redistribute it, get it out to more people. This would have been a great time to release it. Like, the movie's coming. Not a good thing is, like, there's Star Wars movies coming in perpetuity now till the day I die. Every year there's going to be one. So any year will be great from here on out to release it. But I'd love a chance to replay the story. I'd love a chance to hang out with those characters again. I mean, HK-47, yes, we need to hang out, sir. Help me kill meat bags. You know, whatever sick bastard at BioWare came up with this character, I want to shake their hand. that character had me hysterical so many times. Like, if you ever want to laugh, just pull up the HK-47 highlight reel on YouTube. It's just the best. He's so best droid ever. I'm sorry, R2D2, you're awesome, pal, but the HK-47's way better than you. You know, I get HK-47's dry humor.
And he was just a beast-looking droid too.
I know. Yeah, and BioWare hasn't been able to get away from him because his predecessor, his successor, HK-51 series, shows up in the Old Republic Online game. So,
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, he's a companion character, and he's very HK-47, but he doesn't get as much screen time.
Okay.
Yeah, but he loves to help you murder stuff. It's like good old times. But the best part about the game, and this was clearly the thing that I loved because it made the most thematic sense, but it was game breaking in some ways, was that the light dark choices really fit the thematics of the Star Wars universe. In that picking the dark side was always the easier option.
Yep.
Like, you could get more money, you could get better benefits. Like, by picking the dark side, it was the quicker path to power. And it made it tempting because it was kind of like, man, I really need a few more bucks to buy that next weapon or upgrade for my droid, or, you know, and it's like, I could just do this one dark side just to get the extra cash, you know, extort this guy. And it always kept that temptation that the dark side should have. Like, the reason you take the dark side is that it's an easier path to power.
Did you ever try to do a playthrough where you went all dark?
Oh yeah, my first playthrough.
Oh dude, I was
the most, well, you have to understand, at this game came out, I was in my early 20s, very early 20s, and I had been dying for a game where I could be evil. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, wait, I can be the bad guy? I was like, yes, sir, sign me up.
Oh, there's something about it, man. I was like, I don't want to be a dick. These people have families, man.
Oh, I just laughed. I laughed so much about it.
Every game I've tried where there's like a good or bad side, and I always try bad. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. Yeah.
Well, I generally, it's weird, like Mass Effect. Well, actually, Mass Effect, I went both ways. But my first playthrough there, I wanted to be like the hero.
Okay.
And I know in that game, even when you choose to be evil, you're just kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin instead of an actual villain.
Yep.
You know.
But in I think Fable was the only game where I was actually able to play bad and get the whole, like, the only reason why is because I liked how the animations changed. So you start growing horns, you start getting this like red aura around you. I was like, oh, this is badass. All right, I like this, and that was it. That was the only reason why. Like, I could you know, screw the guilt. I look like a badass right now.
You know what was neat about KOTOR was that when you were the good guy, they kind of did the like the chest out, the shoulders back, like the head up, like kind of like the noble pose. Yes, exactly. And when you went down the dark side path, they did like the hunched over, like ready to pounce and jump out of the screen at you kind of pose, like I am coiled and ready to unleash, you know.
That is a good touch.
Yeah. And then when you get the what was it? I think it was the Dark Jedi robes or the Revan robes right at the end of the game.
Oh yeah.
You just look full on Sith at that point. It's just beautiful. And then you know, you have the ability to corrupt one of your party members and pull them down the dark side path with you.
Yep.
You know, just
whenever we talk about these games and it brings back these memories, it's like I want to replay it now.
Yeah. I've been having that itch ever since we brought it up last week to replay it. That's what got me thinking I really wanted an HD remaster of this game, man. Make it happen. Then do the sequel too, with all the content they didn't put in the original.
Yeah. The hell was that all about?
But got to meet that release date. The worst thing you can ever do to a game.
Oh man.
Kudos to our guys at Blizzard for that. They don't release until it's ready, at least. They take 11 years sometimes, but
it may take them forever, but at least it comes out polished and finished. No no patches right on the first day.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know about that.
There's always
with online games, there's always patches day one. It's never gonna end. Yeah.
Oh man,
dude, that's good stuff, man.
That was a good choice.
A holiday season where I could get a remastered KOTOR or a remastered Final Fantasy VIII, I'd be a pretty happy guy. And I'd have a really tough decision on my hands which one I'd want to play.
Very true, and they're so story driven that you couldn't play them both at the same time. I mean, you probably could, but you'd get it into one story, and you're like, "Oh, gotta continue."
Yeah, those aren't really good companion games.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
that's how you wreck somebody's brain. I don't know what to play. Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of does it for the topic of the night, unless you got anything else you want to add to it before we get out of it.
No, I think I'm good with that one.
Okay. Well, you want to get my timer ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me grab that real quick.
Because I'm feeling a little Malgadar's Minute coming on here. I got a rant building up inside me. Now, you got to understand, the Malgadar's Minute is where I go off for 60 seconds on something that's bothering me. And it doesn't necessarily have to be gaming related, but it usually is.
All right.
You got the timer. Give me a little countdown while I get loose.
Go ahead and stretch it out. All right.
All right, here we go.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so my Malgadar's Minute this week. I'm not the guy who originally came up with this. It doesn't really matter who is, because this is just a sentiment that we got to get moving through the video games community. We have to show restraint. We have to speak with our wallets. Money talks, and if we keep buying things that we say are bad, it's never going to stop. Publishers will only change and developers will only change when we stop buying bad stuff. If you don't like what the season passes are, stop buying them before they come out. Wait till you know what the content is. Show restraint. You don't have to buy everything just because you like the product. You like Batman, you don't have to buy the season pass just because they make one. It's just important. We all got to do it. You got to tell people. We got to work together on this, because 20 of us doing it ain't enough. It takes all of us doing it to make it work. We can affect change by speaking with our wallets.
And time.
Oh, I nailed that one today.
That was really good.
Yeah. I kind of felt it coming. I was like, all right, wrap it up.
Finish that nicely.
Okay. But that's important to me, man, because it does, like I said, it doesn't work if it's only a few of us. We all have to do it. Everybody's got to spread the message. We got to be thinking more as a group, and we have the social media now to do it. Yep. We can communicate to each other. So we gotta make that thing work, you know.
People are gonna buy the season pass anyway. It's one of those convenient factors. Like, if I buy it now, I don't have to worry about it later. And there's a lot of people that do that. But if you can get to those people, let them know, like, hey, you don't need to buy it right now. That's another issue. It's a cheaper option than buying separately the different DLCs that come out afterwards. Like,
yeah.
And so people are going to look at that like, well, I could buy it now for $40, or I can go and spend $15 on each one and spend way over. It's like,
yeah, maybe. I mean, you usually save like what, $10?
Yeah, it's like
it's over the course of 4 months.
He's like, would you go to?
It's still $10, but is it a huge savings to buy something you don't know what it is?
Nope.
To me, I'd rather spend the $10 extra and make sure I like all 4 things. And let's because it's usually like 4 things, but like, let's say there's 3 you like and 1 you don't. Well, then you didn't save anything because you had to buy something you didn't like.
Yep.
Or maybe that's the free one. And if it's 2 and 2, then you're really screwed. And if you don't like any of it, then you just gave them money and said, "Here, I'll pay for some." Like, would you buy a game if you didn't know what it was?
Mm-mm.
Like, if it was a blank box and it just had $60 on it, would you buy it and just hope you liked it? Like, that's the problem I have here. It's the lack of communication and the fact that the developers are getting away with it because people are still buying it because they're just like, I love this series, I must buy. Like, no, you don't have to. You can make them show you that it's worth buying.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still play the game you just bought and enjoy that in the meantime. I don't know.
It's a tough one.
Here, Chris, I got something to share with you.
All right.
I saw this special edition Xbox One today.
Yo, that is beautiful.
Yeah, isn't it? That is the hotness right there.
Oh my god!
This is the 1 terabyte Halo 5 Guardians Xbox One, and it's a.
I don't even want Halo 5.
I know. It's gray and silver, and it's got some like really like sharp metallic blue accents.
Oh, that is a sexy device.
Yeah, if you're watching on the YouTube, you can see what it is. Here's my problem with it, though. It's really nice looking, but it's not the best bundle. Like, here's the thing. It's a $500 bundle, right? What? Yeah.
Well, that's not really a good deal.
Yeah, it's a terrible deal, but it looks so good. Now, on the other hand, there's the $400 holiday bundle, and that one is a really good deal.
What do we got for that?
Here, I'm going to pop it up right now. So, yeah. So you see with this one, you get the 1 terabyte Xbox One in the standard black. You get Gears of War HD, a game I will definitely play. Mm-hmm. You get Rare Replay, which there are definitely some games on there I will play. And then you get Ori and the Blind Forest, which I would definitely play.
I heard that was a good game.
Yeah, because I heard people talking about it too, but it's an Xbox thing. I can't play it.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, do I want to pay an extra $100 to have that awesome looking system for the next few years? Or do I want to spend $100 less and get all those extra games that are awesome, and I won't even have to buy any games when I buy it? I don't know. I
don't know, because that system is so nice.
Yeah, man. Like, you don't see systems that look that good often.
No.
It's got the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 PS4 beat by a long margin.
So I was curious because I had no idea what the Rare Replay included, and I would definitely play the shit out of that.
Yeah, there's some
Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah,
there's some real clunkers too, but you know, for the good ones, it's worth it just on that.
That's so weird, man. It's $150 more for that nice system.
$100.
The Xbox One now is $350.
Yeah, but this bundle is $400 with all the games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is fine. That's a perfectly fair deal to me because
I agree.
$50 for all them games. That, I mean, if you think about it, if you just gave me the system for $350, I'd have to buy a game and I'd already be over it. So, you know, the fact that I can get all those things, and like, I totally want the Gears of War HD because I love that first one. The other two can go rot in emulsion, but you know, that first one was
one was good.
That was just something special.
Yep.
You know. So yeah, I'm torn on that. I'm gonna keep debating over that, but that silver Halo 5 special edition system looks just awesome.
We're also forgetting the fact that it's a 1 terabyte hard drive.
You know what though? My primary system is going to be the PS4 anyway, and I can upgrade the hard drive in that. And I mean, I got a 2 terabyte now in my PS4.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
Oh, because you can just get a laptop hard drive and swap it in, right?
Yep. Nice and simple. So the Xbox One will just be for things I want that are only over there, really.
Yeah.
I could fall in love with it and maybe end up gaming over there all the time, but considering how much more restricted the hard drive setup is, I don't think I would.
You get the 2 free games, right? Each month. And then if you have a 360, then you get those two also. So, I mean, your terabyte could fill up pretty quickly if you were to get all the free games, no matter what they were, which I don't do that. I'm very picky on which games I'm getting.
See, and I'm a hoarder. I don't like deleting stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to delete the game because I want to keep them.
Yeah, because I'm that weird guy who will be like, oh, I'm going to play this for a few minutes, like, just on a whim. So having to download it, like re-download it, reinstall it, repatch it, just isn't going to work for me. Which really bothers me, man. What is going on with the games, the digital games, not being patched? Why do they have the old original version up there and not the patched one?
I never understood why you would buy the digital game and then you would still have the patch. It's like, why not include the patch in the original download?
Yeah, like just remake the download to be the one with the patch.
There must be like a laziness included in that.
There's got to be a technical reason. It can't be possible that they are just never thought of it. Like, oh yeah, why don't we do that? Like, because I'm just some dude talking into a microphone. I can't possibly know more than them. So there's got to be a technical reason they're not doing it. But damn, it infuriates me. It makes me so mad. And patch sizes are starting to really get on my. They're making me very mad. Like, I bought the Lego Dimensions last week, brought it home, popped it in. Oh yeah, 5-hour patch. Like, you kidding me? Like, now my speed came up eventually and got it to be about an hour or so. But it was like for an hour I had to wait on a patch, and it turns out there was a bug. I couldn't get past a certain point in the game until the patch was done. And my son's bugging me, Dad, can we just play without the patch? And I was like, all right, sure.
That's kind of bogus.
Normally I'd say no, but it's like he's watching the counter and it says over an hour. And I'm like, I can't torture the kid and make him wait an hour to play the game. So I was like, yeah, it should be fine. It's probably for like online stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I know it actually fixes a bug inside the game.
Interesting.
So yeah. But like that, the Halo Master Chief Collection was like a 20-something gig patch. Like, and here's where it really bothers me too.
That's the whole
games are bloating out of control in size too. Like on the PS4, I've got like 40, 50 gig games. And
I mean, it makes sense nowadays because the games are more graphically intensive. They've added more detail to it. So I get that.
Unfortunately, though, it's just laziness to not compress the games. Like, did you ever look at the total size of Skyrim?
It was 20-something last time I checked.
Not the original. Maybe with patches and mods, yours is up to 20.
What was the original?
The original was, I believe, 4 or 8 gigs. It was really tiny. They used their own compression system and got that thing really, really tiny.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it was just amazing what they did because people were like, is that right? The install size? Here we go. Hard drive space required. 6 gigs, free hard drive space.
That's crazy because I only have 13 on mine right now.
Yeah. And
that's the mods.
Yeah. Well, they responded and basically said, we came up with our own compression technology and made it pretty small.
Middle out compression.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. To me and you, right? It's not a big deal. Like, whatever, it's gigs, whatever. The rest of the world isn't like here. Like, they have, like, bandwidth limits. You can't, like, you can't just assume that because in the U.S. we just use bandwidth, like, we do everything. Just give us more, unlimited everything. Like, other parts of the world, people have bandwidth limits. Probably parts of the U.S. have bandwidth limits, like out in the rural areas. They probably don't have it the same we have here in the cities.
Yeah.
So it's not cool to just make these massive games and just basically tell all these people you can't be part of the digital era. Like, you got to go to your Target or GameStop and go buy the physical copy.
Why don't you get a move, man? Move to a better place. That'll solve your issues.
Yeah, there you go. People should move because we can't compress our games to a reasonable size.
That's crazy. Now, I stopped paying attention once I bought bigger hard drives on my computer, but that is an interesting thought. I know a lot of the online games I have are massive.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying I want the games to like look like crap or something. Let's scale everything down to DVD levels, but it just feels to me like there's a lot of laziness. Like nobody cares how big the game is. Like whatever, that's irrelevant. Just make the game work, make it look good, make it work, and who cares how big it is? And I think we should spend some time thinking about that.
You know, I'm agreeing with you on that. I never paid too much attention to it, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's starting to concern me because I want everything to go digital. Like, let's get rid of the physical medium. Like, get digital for the win. So we can't fully get there while the games are that bloated.
I mean, they did it for Metal
And it
Gear.
takes forever to download. It's annoying. Like, come on. Better compression technology. It's out there. It can be done. Make it happen. Just release a DLC costume, and that'll cover the costs. Because, 1,000 people, actually like 10 or 15,000 people buy it just because they have to have everything. So there you go. I fixed the whole problem, guys. Get to it. Chris, that's just me, man. I'm a problem solver. Okay. All right. So we got no video game 20 questions tonight because it's just me and Chris. We'll try to get back to that next week. So let's wrap this thing up. If you want to contact the show, you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, other podcast services. Just search Collective Gamescasts. You can check out our website, collectivegc.com. We have the podcast there as well. If you want to be on the show as a guest, you can email us at collectivegamescast@gmail.com. You can also just email us there with thoughts or ideas about show content, or just tell us how you like the show. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, we are at the Collective GC. You can stay up to date on show news over there. You can contact me on Twitter. I am at the Malgadar, Malgadar. You can also find me on PSN at _Malgadar. If you want to get in touch with Chris, he is at ChrisBCGC on Twitter. And you got nothing else to say, Chris? We're going to close this thing out.
All right. I'm all good.
All right, guys. This was the Collective Gamescast, episode 5, remastered in HD, and we're out.